All right, hey everybody. Now that we've done our introductions and we figured out how to get on Zoom and everything like that, this is going to be a supplemental video of how to put some of this stuff together. I don't know what all of you are working with, so by all means, try to keep it all together. Definitely keep it in the bag if you can. Here's the supply list. This is going to be very important throughout all the stuff that we do, because I'm going to be using terms that you might not know or may not have heard yet. So right now, if you look for this box, it is box L. It's the KidWind Basic Turbine Kit. Miss Patton has very beautifully and nicely taped this together. So what you can do is you can get your scissors out, which I don't think I need to name the letter for scissors, but you can just take them and kind of poke along this tape and it will open up for you. And you're gonna see basically a lot of parts. I think by putting it together, you're gonna understand a little bit better how it actually works. Okay, so what we wanna do is we wanna take this bag out, and once we have that, we can open it up and start to kind of put things together. So you should have, 3 feet, some gears. And then we also have this thing that kind of looks like the bottom of a rocket. I don't know if you guys have been following SpaceX recently. Here is your hub, some parts and pieces here. This cup that we're gonna use to figure out how much work our wind turbine is actually doing. This gauge, so it's going to read like the degrees at which you make the pitch of your blades. Got these dowel rods, not going to use those yet. Washers, not going to use those yet. These seafoam blue pieces, those are pretty much the most important thing. So anything that we're not going to use right off the bat, like the washers, I'm going to put those back in the bag. Dowel rods, put them back in the bag. Cup, put it back in the bag. We need these little parts and pieces, the bolts and the nuts. Let's go ahead and pull out our generators. I've never put one of these together before, so not the best way to do this, but since we're all doing it together for the first time, it's kind of fun that way. Alright, so if I take all of these bolts out, I've got some bolts, 4 nuts, 2 wing nuts, and I've got just an assortment of tiny little screws. We're gonna need a screwdriver for this. So I went and got the screwdriver, should be ready to go. Take these 2 pieces, we can see that they're symmetrical. So they fit together. And there are 6 holes. Actually there's 8, 2 on this piece, there's 2 up here, there's 2 down here. So what you don't wanna do right now is run some screws down here on these 2 screw holes right on the side of this larger hole. All the rest of these holes you want to actually put the screws into. So let's go ahead and do that. Little term that I like to use, righty tighty lefty loosey. A little bit more difficult than I was anticipating. So got this little guy. See how this works. This takes a little bit of elbow grease. They're not like threaded, they're just kind of plastic, and you are now forcing the screw into that plastic. If you are trying to do this and it's not going anywhere and you're just spinning your screwdriver over and over and over again on the head of the screw, what you're gonna do is you're going to basically work the metal off of the screw. You will never ever be able to use it again. If you have to, put it down on a table and apply some more weight, and that makes it go much better. Got an easy one here. Now I've got this together. What we can actually do is now take out of the box it's essentially PVC pipe. So we can take that and we can put it into this hole that we know it goes into, And then you're just gonna put those screws into the sides where I told you not to put them earlier. And this is also a little bit difficult. All right, so we're just gonna tape that one. Don't worry about the screws. Fits in there. Make it work. Now, it's time to put the feet on. It's much, much easier than the screws up here. You just take it, and there's really only one way it can go in. It just slides, clicks into place. Good to go. So there you go. There's your KidWind set. Now what we need to do is to take this top part and assemble the rest. Okay, so you can basically put this on either side. Alright, so again, this is symmetrical. This is basically what it's going to look like. You're going to have two pieces that hold the generator. You're going to have the wing nut on top of one of these, and you're going to have the other two nuts kind of holding the bolt in place. What we want to do first is we're going to take the two regular nuts that are not wing nuts, and you want to put them on bolts to about right there. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to put the wing nuts on. So we've got the top of the bolt, we've got the nut, and now we want the wing nut with wings facing upwards to go onto the bolt. So that's what we should have. So do the same thing with the other bolt. Now we can put these two pieces on. Okay, so locate these two pieces. Alright, they're going to go on the bolts like so. If you keep your pieces like that, you can just go ahead and insert the bolts. Remember, you want them facing towards each other like that. There we go. We do not want people breaking things. Okay, so I just move this nut down from the head of the bolt. I move the wing nut down a little bit too, and then I put both of these pieces at the bottom. And what that gave me was the little bit of leeway to kind of slide that into place there. So, okay, and now this piece can move, and I can now fit my generator into it. Okay, so I was able to finagle this bolt in there. Alright, and now what we would like to do is to go ahead and loosen this nut that I told you to tighten up on the other side. Okay, so we've got everything aligned. Alright, bring the wing nuts up. Okay, you want things kind of in the middle. Okay, we're going to bring these up. Alright, and this is a little tricky. It's going to take a couple hands. Okay, we're going to bring this bolt out, and then we're going to put this nut on the inside. See how I did that? On the inside of this whole structure. And that's just so we can move this up and down to our gear ratios. Alright, so now we've got these two nuts on the inside of this cavity. We can now tighten the nuts at the top. Okay, now this is what we have. So got my generator, got my wires. Now I would suggest just going ahead and undoing these wires right off the bat so that we can easily slide them through. Okay, so now I've got my wires. Right, what you want to do is you want to take your wires and we're going to slide them through these two pieces and kind of just back. Okay, and we're just going to pull it through, and that generator is going to come up and nicely fit into that space. And if it doesn't, just loosen the wing nuts and get that settled. Okay, so once you have it settled, all right, so where it's flush here, you can then tighten these wing nuts down. We can attach the top part this is the back, this is the front of our nacelle. The side with the green piece is going to be in the front. So just go ahead and slide this to that side. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. Then we're going to take out our other pieces here. Gear ratios. Alright, so we can have a bunch of different gear ratios. Alright, so we're going big to smaller, to smallest, back up to big. Okay, now what these two gears in the middle end up becoming are called idler gears. They're really not doing much of anything except pushing or getting this energy to this gear. Otherwise, these two would have to be beside each other. Think about it like a bicycle. Let's say that you've got, you're going downhill, okay? So if you think of this as a ratio, you're going downhill, this big gear spins one time. How many times is this little gear gonna spin? A lot more, right? And the way that you can do that is you can count every single tooth on the big one. Then you count every single tooth on the smaller one. And that's a gear ratio. Okay, and you always put the output to the input. Okay, so you would do, let's say that this is 36 teeth. Let's say that this is 12 teeth. Okay, if this is our input, okay, we're spinning our bike tire one time, or we're spinning our pedals one time. This is in our bike tire. This is spinning multiple times, right? So that would be 12. Okay, I just have to slide that out, this big gear, just slide it out. That way I can get the generator kind of like finagled inside. The generator is in the place where it needs to be, okay? And all I did there was just tighten this gear back up, okay, on the axle. Now our generator is very close to where it needs to be, okay? You can see that it's less than a half of an inch. Okay, so we'll to 36. And then we can reduce that down. Now if we're going uphill, we would want this smaller gear to be the input and this bigger gear to be the output because we want more torque. So if we spin this around one time, we've got 12 teeth. This one will only go a little ways. It will not go a full turn. Okay, so usually, since this is output, we would say, all right, we're going to go a full turn here, and then that one would turn, however many times it would turn, but our ratio would just flip. Okay, so what we had before was 12 to 36. What we would then have is 36 to 12, and then we would reduce that down. And all that means is, if this turns once, this turns maybe a quarter of the way or a third of the way in that scenario, which means you have more torque going uphill. What we would like to do with our wind turbine is to get the most speed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our big gear go to our small gear. These three pieces right here are key. They go onto the axle. This piece goes onto that plastic piece. So it doesn't just spin freely. Take this big one and we can just insert that plastic piece. And so plastic piece looks like this. Let's put the gear onto the side with the generator. Now what we want to do is when we put a small gear onto the generator, put it onto the generator, they're not touching. We just need to put these nuts, just tighten these nuts up towards the head of the bolt until we see that the generator is now where it sits, becoming in place. We do not want this to be super tight. Okay, you want a little tiny bit of leeway. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can now take your wing nuts and tighten them down towards the generator. And now we have our KidWind set. Okay, so as you can see, when our big gear turns, it makes our small gear go much faster. And our blades are going to be here at the front.